Philippines was once a part of continental Asia, reaching China and the Asian main to Borneo, Indonesia, New Guinea, and even Australia. It served as a passage for early people to go one place to another during those times. But during the post-glacial age, the world's ice melted, causing the sea level to rise. Lower land regions were submerged.
The following scenarios were the most remarkable during the Spanish era. First, April 27, 1521. Ferdinand Magellan with his men arrived at Mactan shore in Cebu. Lapu-Lapu, together with the natives, fought bravely against the Spaniards with their bamboo spears and poisoned arrows. As a result, Magellan and other Spanish soldiers died in that battle. The second was the execution of Dr. Jose Rizal took place at Bagumbayan dated back to December 30, 1896. Filipinos, particularly Katipuneros, who witnessed the execution, aroused their determination to fight against the Spaniards in achieving our freedom. The Kataas-Taasan Kagalang-Galangan Katipunan ng mga Anak ng Bayan or KKK was established by Andres Bonifacio, who was known as the father of Philippine Revolution. KKK was a type of organization securing the independence and freedom of the country by means of forced arms. It was contrasting idea for the previous organization by Jose Rizal Lopez-Haina and Marcelo H. del Pilar, who believed in a peaceful means like through writings. Marcelo and Lorenzo Consigo, together with Delfina Herbosa, sued the Philippine national flag in Hong Kong. The last is that Philippine independence was proclaimed on June 12, 1898. In the ancestral home of General Emilio Aguinaldo in Cavite El Diego, now known as Cavite.
The Supreme Court of the Philippines was officially established on June 11, 1901 through the passage of the Act No. 136, otherwise known as the Judiciary Law of the Second Philippine Commission. Administrative Code of 1917 ordained the Supreme Court as the highest tribunal with 9 members, a Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices. From 1901 to 1935, although a Filipino was always appointed Chief Justice, the majority of the members of the Supreme Court were Americans. Complete Filipinization was achieved only with the establishment of the Commonwealth of the Philippines in 1935. Claro M. Recto and Jose P. Laurel were among the first appointees to replace the American justices. With the ratification of the 1935 Constitution in the plebiscite held on May 14, 1935, the membership in the Supreme Court increased to 11, a Chief Justice and 10 Associate Justices who sat and banked or in 2 divisions of 5 members each. Education. Americans really helped us in the foundation of education in the Philippines. In military government, this was first concerned together with the teaching of English language. The Sherman Commission recommended the establishment of public schools in the Philippines, and the Act No. 74 under Taft Commission implements the free primary education and establishment of schools for the training of Filipino teachers. On August 29, 1901, in a ship called USS Thomas, teachers from America came and they were called Thomasites. Higher education was also promoted, UP in 1908. The establishment of private higher education institutions took place also. Some are Silliman University and Negros Oriental on 1901, CEU by Librada Avellino on 1907, and Philippine Women's University by Francisca T. Benitez in 1919. Culture. Americans brought influences to the Filipino culture. The greatest influence is the usage of English language. In fact, it became the medium of instruction in all schools, colleges, and universities. Also the language in businesses and communication in government. Some includes equality, due process law, human rights, political party system, suffrage in elections, separation of powers, civil services, and merit and spoil system in government. We also adopted some American customs and traditions such as Halloween, Thanksgiving Day, 4th of July,
Death March was one of the worst events that ever happened in the world history. It happened during the World War II, after the attack of the Japanese troops in the Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. On the early morning of 8th of December, the Japanese came here in the Philippines to eliminate the American forces. General Douglas MacArthur was forced to escape the Philippines, going to Australia to save himself and his family. And so is Manuel Alcazar. The Japanese forced the Filipino prisoners and the American prisoners to walk going to Mariveles, going to Tarlac. It was one of a hell of march. Sometimes, the Japanese troops would even bayonet them and beat them to death. It was so inhumane that it shocked the whole world. There was no rest. Everyone almost died. And some of the survivors were even humiliated in the death camp. It was so bad that the Americans and the Filipino prisoners hated the Japanese. But it didn't last long. General MacArthur came back after his promise of "I shall return." And the hope for the Filipinos were back. And the American government and the Japanese troops finally surrendered to the Americans.
Ferdinand Marcos was elected as president in 1965 and re-elected again in 1969. He had the longest term of presidency in the Philippines. On September 21, 1972, Marcos declared martial law because he said that he wanted to protect the government from a possible communist takeover and facilitate genuine social change in the country. But it was a lie. Marcos actually wanted to change our government and become the prime minister so that he can extend his term. Widespread rebellion happened in the country. People who rebelled were abducted and never seen again. His greatest rival was Ninoy Aquino. Marcos allowed him to go to US so that he can have his heart surgery. Ninoy returned to the Philippines on August 21, 1983, after 3 years of exile. But he was shot on the head in Manila International Airport, now NAIA, in order to convince foreign observers that Marcos still had the support of the people. He declared a snap election. Marcos' rival was Cory Aquino, Ninoy Aquino's wife. After it was counted, it declared that Marcos won. But when it was recounted again, it showed that Cory Aquino won. On February 22, 1986, two of Marcos' highest officials withdrew from his support. People went to EDSA to show their support. The Philippine Army went to EDSA in full battle gear, while the Filipinos offered prayers, rosary, food, and flowers to the soldiers. This was the famous EDSA Revolution. Even foreigners withdrew support to the Marcos administration. The Marcos family were forced to leave the country and went to Hawaii. Cory was then declared the new president of the Philippines. She was the first female president of the country.
The following were the contribution of Joseph Ejercito Estrada during his term. First is Era Para sa Mahirap, project for those people who were in poverty. Next is the liberalization of the country's economy and the planned privatization of government agencies such as Philippine National Railways and the NFA. Lastly is the Agricultura Mahamasa. There are cases filed against him. First is the Midnight Cabinet or the drinking parties. Next is Chavit given Arab 400 million from illegal gambling profits and an additional 180 million from the government price subsidy for the Tobacco Farmers Marketing Cooperative. Lastly is the impeachment by the House of Representatives on November 13, 2000. It is involvement in wetting and maintenance of secret banks. There are consequences during his term. The people power to violated the 1987 Constitution according to Supreme Court Justice Cecilia Munoz Palma, and the participation in the recent election, ran as a president for 2010 election and ranked as the second place for presidency. Next is Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Contributed economic policies such as the Beat the Odds, balanced budget, education for all, automated election, transportation and digital infrastructure, terminate the fight between MILF and NPA, heal the wounds of EDSA 1 and 2, electricity and water for all, opportunity in livelihood and 10 million jobs for the Filipinos, decongestion of Metro Manila, develop former American bases like Subic and Clark, improvement in transportation like LRT2, NLEX privatized and SCTEX. There are controversies during her term. The Hello Garci scandal. Samuel Ong revealed the wiretape conversation between Arroyo and Virgilio Garciliano to allow Arroyo to win a margin of 1 million votes over FPJ. June 27, 2005, Arroyo admitted that she had spoken inappropriately with the key official of the COMELEC, saying that it was a lapse in judgment. Denied that she don't influence the outcome of the result. Next is the ZTE scandal. Signed the contract of $329.5 million in Hainan, China. Violated the Anti-Graft and Corruption Practice Act, the Telecommunication Act, and the Build, Operate, and Transfer Law. Rodolfo Lozada Jr. was one of the witnesses, but skipped the hearing and went to Hong Kong. Dante Madriaga said that Filipino officials were asking $41 million in bribes. Lastly, she became a Pampanga representative after her term last 2010.
Spaniards conquered the Philippines for over 300 years, it is indeed without any doubt that those people affect us in many aspects. Like in our religion, which is Catholic. Philippines is the only Catholic country here in the Asia. Also, Spanish introduced to us that the different tenets in our religion. In my own perspective, the Spanish era led Filipinos at the time to be a patriot of our own country. As we recall, we faced that time fought for our freedom through peaceful or by a revolution just to have the leeway with Latin.
The establishment of the Supreme Court served as a stepping stone towards the Philippine independence from America. It is important because the implementation of the law broadens. When it comes to education, I really praise Americans for promoting it. It is the most important contribution of the Americans to the Philippines because they give all Filipinos an opportunity to be educated. The same as what we did in the Spanish culture, we also have imitated some American cultures, giving me this formula: pre-colonization culture plus Spanish culture plus American culture equals Filipino culture today.
I think this period is one of the highlights of Philippine history. It showed the unity among Filipinos during EDSA revolution. And because of this, we were able to show other countries that we can fight for our democracy. Through peaceful means, EDSA revolution also served as an inspiration to other countries in their search for freedom. It is indeed a remarkable scenario in every Filipino.
We experienced satisfying result from the previous president of our country. From corruption and deals with anomalies. It is indeed one of the factors why our country now is suffering from poverty. Having new president, I am expecting positive changes in the government as well in our society.